guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy. He's about 29, maybe 30 years old. He lives over in London, and he's Indian, and he spent half his life, sounds like, going back and forth between living in India with his grandparents and over in London with his parents. And he's going to share his story about his experiences growing up, both living in India as well as over in London, and how he was essentially partially raised by his very traditional, conservative, strong alpha male grandfather that really instilled some very good things in him. However, you're going to see is that when his grandfather died, oh, and by the way, because of his grandfather, this guy was really on his purpose in school and all that, but then when his grandfather passed away when he was about 2014, I believe, the guy went off track for a while, got off his purpose, started to screw around with girls, just, goofing around, essentially. And he met this girl, and they hit off, and they were having a lot of fun together, to put it mildly. And he got off his purpose for a while, but then eventually realized he needed to get back on track. And you're going to see here, guys, is that as he gets back on track with his purpose, this girl, he starts to see her true colors. That she was very needy, very clingy, and all that, and ultimately wanting his attention all the freaking time when he's trying to be on his grind, get his master's so he can get a better job, that type of thing. And you're going to see eventually, guess what? Because she isn't getting attention from him, instead of breaking up with him, she started playing around. But ultimately, he finds out about this and definitely gets even with her. And there's going to be definitely some payback there. So, this video, guys, there's definitely some lessons in here about different things, and I'm going to get into it. I'll point them out as I go, but one of the most important things of this video is, guys, you got to stay on your purpose and not go off track, even if things happen in your life. And oftentimes when you do, if you're a relationship type of guy and your girl is all of a sudden, she's used to you just kind of screwing around all the time, and all of a sudden now you're on your purpose, there's going to be problems there. But always you got to put your purpose first. But I'm going to get more into that later on. So it starts off, he says, hey SSM, first of all, love your content. You're teaching teens more than many people around them. Thanks for that. You're welcome, bro. I'm glad to help. So here's my experience from blue pill to RP. Swear to God, I can't say the other one or I'll get flagged. Some background about me. I was born in India, but my father moved to the UK. I lived most of my life between London and India. I grew mostly up in London, but loved India too. For my grandparents, my father and mother are Indian. They taught me values that will not be considered ideal values if viewed by the new extreme F-inist ideology. Well, pretty much anything is now considered, against the F-inist ideology. Anything that is traditional or conservative or anything dealing with men. Values like that the gal should never expose herself to other men, and men should not touch. Well, you get the point. I'm not going to get too detailed here. He says, my grandfather hated porn. He described it as a vile industry polluting the mind of youngsters. Definitely old school and conservative. That's definitely a subject up for debate, by the way, because studies have shown that by guys watching so much of it, it definitely affects performance in the bedroom, amongst many other things. So it is definitely considered to be advised that guys don't get too immersed in it. Otherwise, when it's time to have fun, they actually can't have fun. These lessons every summer kept me on track. You see, my grandfather was a legend. He was a snake hunter, a highly respected government official, and a wrestler. So he was the most influential male figure in my life. My father was busy most of the time providing for us. Well, your dad was doing what he had to do to take care of the family. That's what a good father does, and it's what a man does. And your grandfather, I'm going to assume at that point, probably didn't have to take care of as many people because he was older. So he had the time to spend with you, and that's cool. You had a very old school alpha male grandfather to help influence you. And a snake hunter. I hate snakes. I totally identify with Indiana Jones with the snakes. I don't care if it's a little freaking snake. It scares the shit out of me. Anyhow, he says, well, I'm being honest. I got hit on by some women because of my looks, and I think I look decent with a good physique, but that never tempted me too much. My grandfather passed away due to a heart attack in 2014. R.I.P. that amazing soul. That's when I lost my purpose. That's when I became weak. I started failing classes, but managed to get by. Got into partying and got a girlfriend. So the strong male role model passes away. You're definitely bummed, and you kind of take off from your purpose for a while. That can happen to all of us, but eventually, guys, we got to get back on track. Okay? Because just partying all the time and screwing around, that's why most people in this world don't come close to living up to their potential because they get off track. And it's far easier just to screw around and party all the time and all that in varying degrees, goof around, than actually focus on business. Now, that doesn't mean you got to be 100% all the time on business, focus your purpose, but it's got to be a vast majority of the time. You want to get where you want in life, you got to have to, really crank it all the time. He says, he got into partying and got a girlfriend. He says, Anne, that's what we're going to call her, identified as a effeminist and a social worker. I know red flags, but 2014 me didn't care. We took things way fast. 3 months in, and we were basically at each other's house every day, either effing or watching Netflix. So, goofing around, screwing around, no pun intended. There's room for that. Don't get me wrong, a little fun time, but it sounds like this was all the time. And he was failing classes. Not good. He says, I decided one day, he says, I'm not going to lie, it was fun, but I still felt lost. Yeah, because it didn't feel right because you're used to being on your purpose your whole life. You're made for something more than just goofing around all the time. So I decided that I'll work on my purpose. I told Ann that, and she supported me. In the beginning, I started working towards my master's in computer application with working a regular job. Safe to say I didn't spend nearly enough time with her. Now our main interaction was through messages, and I visit her on weekends. Well, you're going to see, guys, that's not enough for her. But notice what he said here. I want to point this out because I like to give lessons in the stories I do. He said he was working on his master's in computer application while working a regular job. Translation, he was going to his regular job every day to pay the bills, but then he was spending his free time studying. That's what you guys got to do. If you are right now want to be somewhere in a better position in your life, better job, whatever the hell it is, that means you got to do your regular job. And then nights or on weekends or holidays, whatever free time you have, you are working towards something better. Okay? That means you're going to have to make sacrifices to your free time, TV time, Netflix time, sacrifices to spending time with your friends, spending time with your girlfriend, or whatever you enjoy. But these sacrifices are short term. So this guy's doing that. And obviously he's cut back big time on hanging out with the girlfriend. And you're going to see here, she doesn't like that. Because, and here's another thing I want to point out, guys. When they started their relationship, he was the fun party guy. But all of a sudden, fun party guy was gone, and he's now back to his grind, his purpose. And she went from being probably right at the top of priorities to down at the bottom. And she wasn't used to this. If this is how he was initially, she would have known who he was, and pretty much then could have decided whether she wanted to pursue a thing with him or not. But it's okay he did this. He had to get back on track. But this is the problem when guys suddenly are like this and say, one day, that's it. I'm changing things, go my purpose. The girls are going to be like, what? What happened to the fun guy? Some women will be okay with that because you're on your grind and they're happy you're doing that. Others, they're not going to like it. And they'll want that same attention. You can't give it to them. And if you had to choose between your purpose and bettering your life or spending time with your girl, if you had to choose one, pick your purpose. Because that will set the course for the rest of your life in terms of earning potential, money you got put away that can grow over time. You guys get the point. I had to point this thing out. It's very important, guys, because I know a lot of you guys watch me. You watch me for entertainment purposes, but you also watch to learn stuff. So he's spending less time with her. He says here, and also she was 23 years old and I was 22. She had way more experience than me. 15 guys, that's what she told me then. No, if she told you 15, I would definitely multiply that by 2, if not by 3. It's the old American Pie 2 thing, when the girl said in the movie, if a girl tells you she hooked up with 10 dudes, whatever it is, multiply times 3. If a guy tells you he hooked up with 10 girls, divide it by 3, because both are going to lie. Just want to point that out, and you guys know what I'm talking about. He said, I had 2 girls I slept with, and that one was a Tinder hookup, and the other was my high school girlfriend. She moved to the other side of the country, so we split. I didn't view that as red flags. I don't know why. She had poor body image and always needed reassurance that she looks good. That is a huge red flag, okay? That means that because she doesn't think very highly of herself and always needs constant reassurance, validation, that if she's not getting it from you, like when you were spending time with her all the time, she's going to get it someplace else. These are the girls that are obsessed with their social media, like their Instagram and their TikTok, and maybe even it's going so far as OnlyFans to get attention. Okay? It doesn't stop. It's like a drug. And also, the ultimate attention, getting dudes hooking up with her, and particularly guys that she wanted. So she's not getting it from you. She's going to get it elsewhere. Pay attention, guys. Anyhow, poor body image, blah, blah, blah. She absolutely needed attention every time. It was okay at first, but when I started to get my life together, it was annoying. Like I would be working on a project and she'd just show up and cry when I told her I couldn't see her right now. That's when you end it. Your purpose is more important. Your purpose is more important, and she's a pain in the ass. And she's got issues. And like I said, if she's not getting it from you, she's going to get someplace else. But the problem is, she's going to stick with you because you are obviously a guy that's going somewhere in your life. And women do want a guy that's going somewhere. And obviously, for many reasons, resources being a big one of them. The old cake and eat it too situation. Like I'd be working on a project, she'd show up. Many bad fights broke out between us, and she called me names like in chicken curry rice and curry muncher sometimes when she was angry. She could have come up with something better than that. Once she called my grandfather a misogynist and my values BS. I didn't set any boundaries, my fault. You live and you learn. Dude, at that point, that was the time to break up with her. Okay? You can't focus on your purpose and bettering yourself at your job and so forth with her being clingy and needy and whiny and giving you a hard time and then insulting you. And when she's in no way should she be insulting your grandpa. That's it. It's over. You think your grandfather would like her? Oh, hell no. If your grandfather was there, he would say, no, get rid of her. It's 2019 and I completed my master's and got a very good paying job in a very respectful tech firm. Awesome, brother. Good for you. Your work paid off. I was making way more money and had a lot more time. I was 27 years old and my parents were telling me to get married, Indian tradition, but they said they'd prefer it if I married an Indian girl. Yeah, well, I saw that coming. I thought of Anne as someone I'd marry, but her behavior wasn't the same. I invited her into my house, but she came by rarely. I'd ask her what was wrong, and I'd get a no as an answer every time. She'd say she's hanging out with her best friend, Layla. Well, she's hanging out with someone, and I don't think it's always her best friend, Layla. One evening, I saw Layla's boyfriend making out with another woman in the park. I asked her if they broke up and she was met with a no. When I told her, she started crying and said she suspected it. A month later, she broke up with her boyfriend. I'll tell you one more thing. I was searching for rings at the time, so I asked Layla if she knew what Anne's finger size was. She started crying on the phone and told me to come over and that she wanted to talk. I thought the breakup was harsh on her, so I also took her some chocolates with me. Chocolates? You watching Forrest Gump? She greeted me at the door and we sat down. She started apologizing. I asked her why. Then she told me that Anne is a bitch. Her words, not mine. I asked her, did they have a falling out? She said no, and that Anna was cheating on me for the last 2 years. 2 years. When he started focusing on his master's, studying for his master's. When he started being on his grind. Cheating on him for 2 years. Remember what I told you about Miss I need attention all the time? Miss low body image? There you go. If she's not getting the attention from him, she's getting it elsewhere. I lost my shit. I immediately ran in my car. I was so angry. I don't even remember what I did for the next hour, but I shouted a lot and cried hysterically alone. That sucks, dude. You've obviously lived and you've learned, but as I read your story the first time, I could see when you started telling me that she had low self-body image and you started having less time for her, I could see exactly how this was going to go. You get to the point, guys, you can just predict this shit. It's so, these things are so predictable. I lost my shit, blah, blah, blah. Layla messaged me that she's sorry. I told her to get me proof. She sent Anne a picture she sent a picture of Anne with many guys. Almost shattered my soul. I breathed a deep sigh and just thought, I got an evil plan. Well, you could have broken up with her right then and there, but then again, we wouldn't be here hearing this good story, so okay. Layla told Anne that I was searching for a ring, and the thought of marrying just got her excited, and she started being a great girlfriend. Well, of course. The sex started again, and better than usual. I bought the ring and called my parents. I made it look like I was hiding it from her, but she could hear me. I told my parents, I am ready for marriage, but I will choose my partner. I will talk to her on Sunday. My parents were happy, and Anne was on cloud 9. For the next week, she was the most loving and thoughtful woman ever. Gave me 2 BJs every day on average. As Denzel Washington said in, I can't even think of what movie it was, my man. Hey, enjoy it while you can. On Saturday night, I tell her that we're going on a lunch date that I designed. She was obviously expecting the ring after the date. It should be me, her, and peace. We reached our destination, but there were 8 guys standing there with 1 girl. They seemed to be on a picnic. Anne's expression started to change when she realized who they were. Then I sat her down and got on my knee and said, "You're a bitch." And Layla, who was sitting with the guys, presented her with a freaking framed collage of her with the other men. They were not S-word photos. Those 8 guys, they were just guys that she had slept with. Those guys were either married or broke, blackmailed, married men, and bribed broke meth heads. They all came with no hesitation. The ring, that was a lie. I did purchase a ring, but that was my father's gift to my mom on her 30-year anniversary. Layla was doing everything behind the scenes. She hyped her up for it today as well. I don't know why she did that, but yeah. Then comes the part where she cried and apologized, and I just leave. There you go. Payback's a bitch. 2 years she's cheating on you, and that's hilarious. That girl. Now, I want to point something out here. I think Layla, this girl's friend, who obviously she now hates, probably has a thing for you. Or this is in the past, so she ditched. So she was more than happy to help you. And given the fact that Layla had no problem doing that, I would be. I'm glad you were. Obviously, you're going to be with somebody else. I'm glad you didn't jump in with Layla, because it sounds like Layla could turn on you if you pissed her off. But anyhow, that's pretty funny. Bring those dudes instead of a ring. She got a picture of the dude she hooked up with. And of course, he said that comes the part with all the crying and the apologies and blah blah blah. He said, I started getting calls and I just ignored them. She showed up at my house multiple times. Annoying. Layla told me Anne was just a mess and didn't stop crying for like an hour. I'm so sorry. For 2 years she did this. And Lord knows how many dudes. They mentioned 8. I'm sure it could have been 80. Layla was a dual-faced person and told Anne that I forced her to do this, and I really told her that I was going to propose, which is technically not a lie. Layla is a double-faced shark, a sharp snake. Anne's a bitch. She did countless things to reach out, but every single one of them failed. That's right. Goodbye. He says, now, in the present time, I am married to an Indian woman with the same family values as me. Sorry for the long read, but thought this would be interesting. Well, yes, it was, bro. And I'm glad that, thank the Lord, you didn't marry her, because she would have been cheating on you your whole life, because you'd be there on your purpose, how your grandfather raised you, and she wasn't getting all the attention, and she would have been cheating left and right. I'm sorry it happened to you, but you learned a hard lesson, but that's how it works. These types that have serious body images and low self-esteem and need constant attention and reassurance, validation, it doesn't stop, guys. It doesn't stop. If they could have the greatest guy in the world that could have everything. It doesn't matter. They want it all the time. They need constant external forces. Like I said, they go on social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the hell it is nowadays, OnlyFans, and there's no amount of attention that's going to make them happy. Okay, and they ultimately become cheaters, and you get the point there. So, you guys ever have a girlfriend that's like that? Get rid of them. It's not going to end well for you. But again, guys, that'll be a good one here. A nice, good revenge story. Good for this guy for getting a little even with her and moving on here. But again, another theme of the story is, guys, staying on your purpose. Okay, purpose always comes first. We can all go off track for a while. Things happen. His grandfather dying obviously messed him up because he was a very important part of his life. And he got off his grind, but then fortunately, he got back on it, okay? And you saw there the girl who thought he was Mr. Fun and Partying. The second he went on his purpose, and she became the bottom of the list, she didn't handle it well. But guys, for your relationship, guys, I tell you all the time, your purpose should be first. Your goals, your ambitions, that's all under the purpose umbrella. And women dead last. And there's going to be some that aren't going to like that, okay? And they'll be gone real quick. But there'll be others that they'll like the challenge of, they'll like the fact that you are on your grind all the time making something of yourself, because most guys don't do shit with their lives. But also they'll like the fact that there'll be the constant chase, trying to get you. Ooh, he sees me once a week, maybe I can get him to see me twice. But you never budge. Ever. And that'll keep them chasing. And that's what they want anyway, to be chasing, whether they want to admit it or not. But, all right, guys, that's it for today. That'll be a good one there. Good little revenge story and some good, important lessons of life in there. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, like I said before, you ever come across, you have a great story you want to share, by all means, email it to me. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. This guy sent me his story, I believe, on November 16th. It is now December 16th today. So it took me a month to get to this. So I tell you guys, you send me an email, and if it definitely works, just be patient, because I jump around with the stories. And I may not get to you right away, but if it's a good one, if it's written really well, make sure you do that. I will come to it down the road when I see it's a good time to do the video, because I don't want to do the same story every freaking day. I gotta mix things up to keep things interesting. It's important to have variety here. And this also goes for any good stories you may come across, a great article about something related which I share on this channel. Email me the link and I'll definitely cover it. And guys, be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.